And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around real estate, credit, finance, and so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, where our number one goals are to educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, I want you to pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate hotline number in your phone. At some point, you're going to need it. 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894.
Baby.
Don't forget our number. We also want you to bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. Consumerqb.com. That's our website, blog site, a plethora of information available for you. You can see links to all of our 80-plus show contributors, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay that we've assembled and we've vetted to help you win in any marketplace. That's the goal of this show. We don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We want to help you win. Special guest in studio, St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kriseman. Thanks for coming back in.
I am glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Absolutely. And this segment is brought to you by Kipton, the Hotel Zamora in St. Pete Beach. It's the first new hotel built in decades in St. Pete Beach, as well as Spanish architecture ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. The official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show is the Hotel Zamora. Whitewashed Mediterranean palace, expansive views, luxury suites with balcony views of the intercoastal waterways. And if you're a boater like me, I love Freedom Boat Club and getting out there on the water on the weekends, enjoy that downtime, that family time. You can pull your boat right up to the Hotel Zamora. And rooftop yoga, did a little yoga last time we were there. And the Castilla restaurant is awesome. Have you eaten there?
I have eaten there. The food is unbelievable.
Sure
Highly
is.
recommend it. And then you go upstairs and take in that incredible view.
It's amazing. You know, we truly live in paradise. Yes. So big shout out to the team, the management team over at Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora in St. Pete Beach. They do have a special discount for our listeners. Just mention the quarterback sent you, and they'll take care of you with that discount. So let's go ahead and jump right into this great content. Man, you know, there's so many positive things happening. Last week we had Clearwater Mayor George Credicus on the show.
Great guy.
And, yeah, awesome gentleman. And, you know, there's so many positive things happening. Where do we begin?
Yeah, it's really a remarkable time in the city of St. Petersburg, actually the whole Tampa Bay area. You were mentioning Clearwater, what's going on here in Tampa. But in St. Petersburg, I have never seen the city, and I've lived in St. Pete for 44 years. I've never seen the city so alive,
That's
so
right.
much energy, and so much love for the community by the people who live there.
That's right. Yeah, it's such a great, ambiance. You go down there, had a friend of mine's birthday, and just hitting the different spots. I mean, you've really done something special down there with St. Pete. And you look at, 2017 coming up here, January 9th. We've got a big football game. You know, we kind of talked about it in the green room. You know, NFL football, people like it. You know, it was a pretty cool game with the Bucs and the Cowboys recently. But you also look at the NCAA, the college football game, the championship coming to Raymond James. What an awesome experience.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for our entire Bay Area. I mean, to host the national championship game is fantastic. We know that people who are coming in for that game, if they want to go to the beach, they're going to go to Clearwater Beach or to St. Pete Beach or any of the other beach communities. But I'm going to see a lot of those folks in downtown St. Petersburg eating at some of our great restaurants, looking at and shopping in our great museums and galleries, and then taking in places like the Dali and the Chihuly and Museum of Fine Arts. I mean, there's so much to do here. Those people are going to be busy up until game day.
That's right, yeah. And now the big question is, where are they going to be coming from? You know, which visitors are going to be coming down, right? We got Washington playing, you got the Alabama, you got Clemson, and who's my fourth there, Anthony?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
Unfortunately. As a Gator, I'm having a hard time with Ohio State and with Alabama, so I got to go for Clemson and Washington.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm a former USF Bull, played on the inaugural football team under Coach Levitt. So it's interesting to see. We got Charlie Strong now here at USF. We got
Great
a lot
coach.
of positive things happening around the program as well. 10-2, Taggart led us to a 10-2, and unfortunately he decided to take the money. Can't blame him there. He went out to Oregon. I think he got a few million there, a couple million at least. And so Charlie Strong coming back, can he build it up? Raymond James, what a great place to play our games.
Yeah, I think obviously Taggart has put a great foundation in for that team. And Charlie Strong's a great coach.
Yeah.
And so I think he's going to be able to take what's already been left for him and just continue to build on it. I know down the road he'd like to see an on-campus stadium, which I think would be great for the school. And that program is going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to call attention to USF as athletics oftentimes do.
That's right.
They lead students to come to schools, and so whether they come to school here at USF Tampa or visit us at USF St. Petersburg, it's going to be great for that institution.
That's right. What a win-win you have there. And, a lot of people were talking about potentially around that Mosey area up north, I think, for a new stadium. Potentially, I've heard talks about that. But, when you think about real estate development in Tampa Bay, man, you got Amazon out in East County. I mean, the Hotel Zamora, all these different beautiful spots that are opening up. And, just a great place. What do you think really sets Tampa Bay apart when it comes to businesses wanting to relocate to Tampa Bay?
Well, I can tell you, what we hear in St. Pete, and we know, if we can get somebody to visit us in St. Pete, first off, they're gonna be surprised because it's not what they're expecting.
Yep.
The reputation of what the city used to be versus what it is today, totally different. Once they see the city, they fall in love with it because it's really about the quality of life.
That's right.
It's about having, at least in St. Pete, you've got these incredible waterfront parks that we've got. We've got the museums and the galleries, and we've got great sports between the Rays and the Rowdies. So it's a very walkable community. It's why Wallet Hub named us the #1 city for millennials in the state of Florida.
Wow.
We're real proud of that. There's a real entrepreneurial spirit that's going on in St. Pete right now. And we recently were recognized for that by the Kauffman Foundation, who brought their Mayor's Conference on Entrepreneurship to St. Petersburg,
very cool,
highlighting what's going on in the city right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You got the Grand Prix.
Absolutely, and that's the second week in March, and we're going to be, start of the new year. It's already going to be that time. We're going to have to start setting that track up.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of cool things. I did a trip over to the Mediterranean and saw the other course there. I believe it's in Monaco.
Yes,
and just amazing. Just to see the impact that one sport can make, or one new venue. For example, the Rowdies now making a push to join the MLS. That could be huge.
That would be incredible for our entire community. It'd be great for the region, but obviously in St. Petersburg, it would be fantastic. I can tell you that I think the MLS is a perfect fit for St. Petersburg. The energy that comes with MLS soccer. You look at the cities that have MLS right now.
Right.
Seattle and Portland come to mind in particular. The championship was Seattle and Toronto. There's a lot of energy in those cities.
Yeah.
There's a youthfulness in those cities. We have that in St. Pete, so it's a great fit. And to have a stadium right on our waterfront, I don't think there's a better location.
That's gorgeous, yeah. Speaking of Portland, the only city to top Tampa International Airport in a recent survey, or I forgot which one it was, but yeah, Tampa International Airport, what a great place to call a hub.
Yeah, once those improvements are done, I suspect that rating may flip.
That's right.
Joe Lopano and everybody at Tampa International does an amazing job, and you really appreciate it when you travel somewhere else and you get off and you're trying to navigate that airport, and then when you come home, there's a big moment.
That's right.
It's like, man, it's nice to be back in the best airport in the country.
That's right. Mayor Rick Kriseman here on the Quarterback Show. We're talking all things Tampa Bay, things happening in the region, jobs. We're going to have a lot of, continue this content as well. And, we got the St. Petersburg Bowl game as well at Tropicana.
Yeah, we love having being host to the St. Petersburg Bowl. You got a great game with Miami of Ohio and it's either Mississippi or Mississippi
State.
Yeah, so that's right. That should be a fantastic game. A month later, the East-West Shrine game comes to town with some of the best players in college football. So what an opportunity to have those two games leading into the national championship.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
So if you're a football fan, there's no place better to be.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of my buddies, we still have this tailgate house over there by the stadium on Leroy. But, we look forward to the big games. The Super Bowl a few years back, we go, and it's a nice place to kind of tailgate before the games, walk to the stadium, and just really enjoy that atmosphere. Just being around Raymond James when there's that electricity in the air, nothing better than that, in my book.
No, I would agree with you. And I've never been to a college national championship game, been to a Super Bowl at Ray J, and you're right, the energy is incredible. I can only imagine, because college football has a different vibe than pro football.
Absolutely.
There's a certain energy level that's different.
Yep.
And so I can only imagine what it's going to be like at that game.
Man, Raymond James is going to be rocking. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be going off, and we're going to have a lot of folks from up north coming down to check out our beautiful real estate and things happening here in the Tampa Bay market. They're going to fall in love with what we offer here, and that's why we talk about real estate as a great investment here on the Quarterback Show. And so, a lot of great content to come. We're here one-on-one with St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kriseman, and we're talking about things happening in Tampa Bay, a lot of the upcoming events and more. So stay with us. Do not touch that dial. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation. Visit Pasco County, Florida.
If you were injured in a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need My Crash MD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
My Crash MD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download My Crash MD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with My Crash MD.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show and a top listing agent in Tampa Bay, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, helping sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties. Got a couple of hot listings here. We got one at 18399 Gulf Boulevard, unit number 7. 372 in Indian Shores. Compliments of Will Hyder on my team. Beautiful opportunity to own a waterfront property in the Gulf of Mexico, right here on the Intercoastal, Gulf Boulevard, number 372, as well as another hot property in St. Petersburg. It's Coffee Pot Bayou. It's 329 37th Avenue Northeast in St. Petersburg. $240,000. Great buying opportunity. Invest in Tampa Bay real estate, and you are definitely going to be experiencing some sunny and 75 days. Somewhere sunny and 75. I want to remind you as well, I just released our second book. Connor Anthony actually helped co-write this book as well. It's Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves. We're helping entrepreneurs and innovators out there understand how they can set up their own radio and TV show and kind of replicate what we've done, teaching others how to do. We believe in learning it, living it, and giving it. So we're going to give back and help you as an entrepreneur out there. We got a consulting package that goes along with that as well. So back here in studio, Mayor Rick Kriseman in studio, St. Petersburg Mayor, and a lot of talks about Cuba lately. I know you've been very involved with the diplomatic process there going down. What's new from your perspective?
Yeah, it's been fascinating watching what's happened since President Obama has taken some of the steps he has to open Cuba up to Americans. I've been fortunate to go down twice now. First time we went down, really part fact-finding, part relationship-building mission. We think there's a lot of opportunities for our city in St. Petersburg, in particular with the city of Havana, for cultural exchanges, research and exchanges when it comes to life sciences and marine sciences. And having gone in August and then gone back again in March with the Tampa Bay Rays when they played their historic game with the Cuban national team, in that short period of time, I already saw some changes. For example, the first time I went, no cell phone service. Go back in March, and now I've got Verizon cell phone service. So it's starting to open, and that's a good thing, not only for our country, but I think it's a good thing for the Cuban people.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You know, they've been, under that regime that's just kind of suppressed them and kept them down. When you look at the other side, they say, oh, well, we're warming up to a nation that's friendly with Russia. What's the pros and cons there when you think about that?
I mean, I get that argument, but if you're going to have that argument, you got to have it with every other nation that falls under the same criteria, and we don't do that with anyone else like we do with Cuba.
Right.
And so, from my perspective, I think if we want to see changes happen in Cuba, the best thing we can do is to try something different than the way we've done it for over 50 years, which hasn't worked.
Right.
The more the Cuban people have a chance to interact with Americans, learn more about our lifestyle and some of the perceptions that aren't true that they've been told, likewise the perceptions about their people that we've been told, the greater the opportunity is, I think, for change, and the more the people of Cuba are going to demand it, greater freedom. So, it hadn't been working the way it was being done. You got to try something different, and so I'm fully supportive of what the president has been trying to do, and I'm really hopeful that the president-elect won't roll things back, because I think because of these efforts, we are starting to see things move in the right direction. Even though they're slow, it's still happening.
Yeah, exactly. And, we have Cuba, 100-plus miles south of us. It makes sense to make an ally, make a friend of that nation.
Well, it absolutely does. And, if, just for example, if Cuba were to engage in some offshore drilling, and they don't have the technology to deal with the spill, we're going to pay the price for that. And so having collaboration, having a relationship with them where if they do get into drilling, we're there and we can provide the technical expertise if they're lacking in it that they might need to respond quickly is in everybody's best interest.
That's right, yeah. In case you just joined us, I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Quarterback Show here. We're talking with St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kriseman in studio, and we're talking about Cuba. And one of the other things I've kind of heard as well is, what about the impact of these cheap flights going down there? How is that going to affect our tourism here locally?
I don't think it's going to really impact our tourism. I think what you might see is people who do a multifaceted trip where they come here and then they go down there
Right.
and then head home. But really, Europeans, Canadians, everybody who, and Latin Americans who are the people that are coming to Pinellas County in waves and coming to St. Pete in waves, they can already travel to Cuba.
Yeah.
The only ones who couldn't travel to Cuba is us.
Good point.
Is Americans. So, we've seen the biggest growth in tourism in Latin American tourists and in European tourists. That's not going to change.
It's even intriguing to me. I've got I'm getting my pilot license. Captain Will Smith, Tampa Executive Airport, teaching me how to fly. And,
cool.
Opening that up, it's like it's interesting. It gives you one more stop. We fly the Keys. We get that $100 cheeseburger sometimes, right? And you go to the Bahamas. But tell us a little bit more about Cuba. What was it like, and what are the people, and how's the vibe down there?
Yeah, it's first off, it's extremely safe. And talking with some of our officials at the American Embassy, they were telling us that. Of all the places they've been stationed, this is one of the places they have felt the safest.
Wow.
So crime is very low. It's very safe there. The people are very warm and friendly. I was amazed at how friendly people were. They love Americans. Yep. We got in a taxi, and there's an American flag in the taxi.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool. The arts and culture, which is something we pride ourselves on in St. Petersburg,
right.
They're a part of their culture. It is a part of their being. So you go to have lunch or dinner, and there's live music.
Yeah.
Their national museum is phenomenal. And the architecture is beautiful, although in a lot of places it's really struggling because they don't have access to credit. And so their infrastructure is really crumbling.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see that. But the people are resilient. They've had to be.
Yeah.
They're inventive, and they've really been leaders in the world in some areas, medical and life sciences in particular.
That's what came to mind when we were talking about Cuba here on the Quarterback Show with Mayor Kriseman. We're talking about the tourism effect, which I agree. I think Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, people are going to come here. They're going to catch a game. They're going to stay at our beaches for maybe that modern style and thing, and then they might check it out just as a type of a novelty type thing. Check out Cuba. But yeah, and so talk a little bit about the medical, what you saw down there, how are they advanced, and what kind of systems are they using?
Yeah, and I think the challenge that they've had, and I think the reason that their scientists and their doctors have made some breakthroughs is because they don't have, quite frankly, the technology that we have and the access to the equipment that we have. So they've had to be creative and innovative, and I think that's led them to make some discoveries that they've been asked to share with scientists around the world. And so I think that of everything, the exchanges of information and of research is one of those things that I think we're all going to benefit from the most. And I know that we've had students from USF and from Eckerd College in our area that have traveled down to Cuba and have spent a good deal of time down there trying to learn and speak with their scientists in marine science, for example, at the University of Havana. We obviously are, it's very important to us being coastal communities, both of us in St. Pete and in Havana. Climate change and sea level rise are real, and we're going to all have to deal with those. And so if there's opportunities for us to exchange information in that respect, I think it's a great thing.
Very, very much so. And let's talk about that climate change. I watch Vice, some of these different shows on TV, and of course it's that's what I hate about the politics is it too many times it becomes a partisan issue, and why can't we look at the data? And I guess what is the data is the big controversy. Okay, is it man-made or is it just natural evolution?
Well, and I think all of us, whether we believe it's man-made or not, I think all of us have an obligation to our kids and grandchildren to try and leave the earth cleaner than it was when we during our time here. So whether you believe it or you don't believe it, that's something you should strive to do.
Yep.
But the bottom line is we do have to deal with the ramifications of what we're seeing, and that is sea level that's been higher.
Yep.
Over the years. I mean, all you have to do is go down to Fort Lauderdale and Los Olos.
Yep.
And even on just a high tide, the streets are flooding a little bit.
Wow.
We've seen it in St. Pete where our median levels are higher, and that impacts our entire system, our stormwater system.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had issues with our sewer system.
Yep.
That's all a product of what we're living with, and we have to adjust to what we're living with now, not the way it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of complex issues, a lot of data to look at, and when you think about that, wow, we inherited Mother Earth. we need to leave a better legacy for our children, and that's what we talk about a lot on the show. It's making informed financial decisions, business, finance, estate planning, tax planning, so many areas that we cover on the Quarterback Show, and we help consumers out there. And so St. Pete becomes first city to commit to 100% renewable energy. We'll talk about that, as well as we'll jump into a little bit more on things happening in St. Petersburg, the beaches, beautiful area. Looking forward to a nice stay over at the beach this holiday break as well. And so more from Mayor Rick Kriseman here on the Quarterback Show. So stay with us. Don't touch that dial. Also remind you to go to consumerqb.com. You can see links to all of our expert contributors, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region that we've assembled and we've vetted, and they're consumer advocates. They want to help you in many, many different areas of business and finance. So you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.
If you were injured in a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need My Crash MD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
My Crash MD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download My Crash MD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with My Crash MD.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate you tuning in. Quarterback Show. And this segment is brought to you by Hula Bay. It's the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Big shout out to Hula Bay. Awesome waterfront ambiance right here in South Tampa on Tyson Avenue, right off the West Shore. And excellent variety on the menu. Fresh sushi and seafood. Say hello to Mike Finnegan and his team. Let him know the quarterback sent you for a free water with lemon. He's going to hook you up down there. And also Back In Health Massage. Big shout out to my massage therapist, Michael Vogt, with Back In Health Massage, helping people with neck, back, shoulder, hip, and leg pain feel better. Conveniently located on Dale Mabry and Gun Highway in Tampa. Big shout out to Michael Vogt, Back In Health Massage. And we're back here in studio, live from iHeartRadio, every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m., your most important hour on the radio. We're going to give you consumer tips, helicopter view of the things happening in Tampa Bay, and help you win as a consumer advocate. We're also syndicated on 102.5 The Bone on Sunday mornings, as well as on WeBeam TV. We have our TV show version of the show as well on WeBeam TV. And so we're real excited about a lot of the things happening here in Tampa Bay. Mayor Rick Kriseman in studio. And so, let's stick with that renewable energy type strategy. I mean, it's here. It's something that we need to embrace. How are we implementing?
Well, yeah, we there's a number of things that we're doing. I've executed a executive order, which really kind of lays the groundwork for what our goals are that we're trying to accomplish, and it is to become net zero. And we also are going to be undertaking a sustainability and climate study. Because we know that there's a number of things we've got to do in addition to, utilizing as many different technologies as we can, from solar to geothermal to become and to reach net zero. We've got a plan for the future, as we were talking about before, with sea level rise. We've got to figure out what we need to do to address our housing stock to make it more resilient to heavier rains, to storms. Rising tides. Do we need to change our zoning? So there's a whole lot of things that we're going to have to do, but they're the right thing to do, and we are as a community really committed to it. And I'm fortunate to have a council that's committed to it and that's willing to appropriate the dollars to do the studies that we need to do, so we can plan and master plan going forward, and a community that really believes in being clean, being green, and being sustainnable.
Yeah, I think so. Clean, green, sustainable. That's all things that I believe. When you think about that and you think about the folks that are living in St. Petersburg, they're on board. I think they're on board.
They are. It's a really progressive community. It's one of the things that I love about the city, and the people that live there, they love the city, and so they want to see the best for their community.
Yep.
And so, for example, when we instituted our curbside recycling and our alley recycling program, we set some benchmarks of what we were hoping to achieve, and we've exceeded those. And that's really a testament to the residents in St. Petersburg who are really participating in the program. And they're doing it not because it's mandatory, and if they don't do it, they're going to get fined.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they know it's the right thing to do for the community.
That's right. Yeah, solar technologies, green energy, LED lighting. We have some partners in the show that are invested in that space. They own businesses, and John Grant eagled LED lighting. But yeah, it's definitely where things are going and where we need to be. So that's great. I'm glad to hear you guys are doing those studies. And and so let's talk about as well the Rays. It's always a hot topic. Where are the Rays going to be? I know you guys want to keep them down there. You look at the attendance, you look at the ownership interest. What do you think is going to happen with the Rays?
Well, I think that the mistake some folks are making is they're looking at the history since the team's been there in attendance and where it is currently sitting. And they're saying, well, it's because of that the team isn't going to stay there. I take a different view of that. Maybe it's because I'm mayor, but I really do take a different view because I think it's the future that the team is interested in. What's the most sustainable location for them for their long term? And when you look around the Tampa Bay area, and first off, my goal all along has been I want to keep them in the Tampa Bay area.
Right.
But I'm also the mayor of St. Petersburg, so of course I'd like to see them stay in St. Pete.
Right.
And I look at the sites, and the site that jumps out to me the most is the current site that they're on, Tropicana Field. And the reason that site jumps out to me is what the potential for that site is. You look at their evaluation criteria, they want something that's active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They want a place where People can walk out of where they live and where they work and just walk straight into the stadium. We have the capacity and the ability to develop that all around a new stadium.
Right.
Because we'll have roughly 70 acres that we can redevelop, which is roughly 6 to 9 million square feet of development.
Wow.
And so when you think of the number of people that will be working on that space, that will be living on that space, that will be visiting that space, that can then go right next door to a stadium, that's far different than what exists there currently. And so I think that's a game changer.
Yeah, and one of the other spots that I've heard, and I'm kind of favorable to this one. I'm building a house on Lake Tarpon, but is the kind of the racetrack road area, that line of Pinellas County, Hillsborough County. Then the argument there as well, we can get money from Hillsborough, we can get money from Pinellas. What do you think about that site?
I think the reason that site's the most challenging is a lot of the draw right now is still from over the Skyway, south of the Skyway, and in the Bradenton, Manatee, Sarasota area. And for those folks trying to travel to the racetrack road site, I think that's going to be challenging. Whereas again, I go back to the Tropicana Field site. It's an easy commute from south of that bridge. It's an easy commute from north of the Howard Franklin because you've got highway that feeds directly into that site, both off of 175 and 375. Hopefully, we'll have people being able to also take the ferry if we can, if we're able to make that permanent, and that means everybody has to ride the ferry. Please ride it. You have till April to ride it, and then the pilot's over.
Get out there and ride the ferry, guys.
Ride the ferry.
Check it out.
But that's another alternative way of getting there. And, as 19 and Gandy get finished, it'll be easier to get down to the Trop site from Pasco County. It'll be easier to get down to Trop site from South Tampa. Right now, it's, for the last several years, there's been so much construction, both on 19 and on 275. I think that's really impacted attendance, and I think it's impacted corporate sponsorship because it's just a hassle.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I see. You see the pros and sides on both on cons on both sides. And it's we love the Rays, and we're glad that at minimum the effort between yourself, Buckhorn, and Creticus, you guys work great together.
We do, in
the benefit of the Tampa Bay area. So that's one thing we really appreciate.
Yeah, it's I think it's really unprecedented in our community's history to see. The cities of St. Pete and Tampa in particular, including Clearwater, but historically St. Pete and Tampa have always fought with each other, competed against each other. People wouldn't go across the bridge. I'm not going. I'm just not doing that. I'm not going over there. And when I got elected, and Mayor Buckhorn and I have been friends for more than 20 years, and we both have said we are much stronger when we are working together as a region to promote our region than we are when we're competing against each other. We recognize what's good for Tampa is good for St. Pete, and what's good for St. Pete is good for Tampa, and the whole Bay Area, I think, benefits because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you just joined us, we're talking with St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kriseman here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and you're right on track. I mean, when we look at what we've seen, the attraction to millennials, the attraction to corporate companies. You've got California out there with continuing to raise their estate income tax, and you've got certain areas that are competing. But there's no better place to live, work, and play. Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. So many things you can do, the performing arts, the boating, and I love Freedom Boat Club. Again, I'm out there enjoying our waterways in Tampa Bay. But there's so many positive things happening. So many positive things.
Well, and there are, and the waterways. I'll go back to the ferry for a minute because what you get to see as someone who's been out on a boat, a lot of people don't get to see, and the ferry gives them an opportunity to see it, and that is. What does downtown St. Petersburg, what does downtown Tampa look like from the water? And the view is totally different than what you see stuck in traffic on the Howard Franklin or on the Gandy. It's beautiful, both at day and at night. And so, we want to encourage people to ride it and really experience the Bay Area from the water because, obviously that's a great way with Freedom Boats if you can do that. But if you can't, then certainly get on the ferry. You're going to love it. It's going to blow you away what our communities look
That'll
like.
be awesome. Yeah, maybe when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the pier. We'll update folks on the pier. We'll talk a little bit about jobs, what's being going on there. I've saw some great stories about that, as well as, potentially Mr. Buckhorn, Mayor Buckhorn, will he have a job change? Let's maybe tease the listeners with that, talk about that in the next segment here. And back in studio here with Mayor Rick Kriseman of St. Petersburg on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to remind you, you can call us on our hotline at 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
We love it when the hotline blings because we know that we're going to be helping people. 813-917-1894 for any of your consumer advocate advice, things to do, things to avoid. We're here to help you win. So consumerqb.com is our website. All of our expert contributors are listed there as well. So stay with us. More from Mayor Rick Kriseman in studio on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.
If you were injured in a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need My Crash MD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
My Crash MD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download My Crash MD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with My Crash MD.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're here in studio with St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kriseman. Some awesome content, updates on all things Tampa Bay, as well as consumer advocate advice, things to do, things to avoid. And this segment is brought to you by the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. Big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the maids. They are referred for a reason. All right, and we're back here in studio. Got a hot listing I want to let you know about. 8156 Causeway Boulevard South in St. Petersburg. Waterfront with wide canal views of Boca Ciega Bay and a great waterfront ambiance here at 8156 Causeway Boulevard South in St. Petersburg. $640,000. Great buying opportunity here. And also have a property out in East County, East Hillsboro. It's 7814 Sims Road in Gibsonton. And this is a 4.5-acre property just listed, completely remodeled single-family home. Next door, you also have a commercial property that's under the same 4.5 acres. So you have built-in income capacity with this property here. 7814 Sims Road in Gibsonton. Compliments of Platinum MVP Realty.
No shoes, no shirt, no problem.
All right, so let's maybe quick update on the pier. What's the latest happening there?
Yeah, so the pier is moving forward. You know, there's been some talk in the Tampa Bay area about whether we really need to have one, and the answer to that is yes, we do. Yeah. It's a part of our history, and it's also something that's, I think, really important to the community, and in particular for families, because this pier is being redesigned really to attract families and to be accessible to everyone all throughout the Tampa Bay area, a place that you want to go to as opposed to the old pier where the only ones who really went there were tourists, or if we had people coming to town visiting, that'd be one we'd go. So we are set to break ground in springtime of this next year. We're at a point right now where we are finalizing the designs of it and really trying to determine the features that we want to have. And I've given council recently, last week, they got an update on where we're at, and we showed them some enhancements that we can do to make the pier, take it from being a great pier to a world-class pier, expanding on things like splash pad area and kids' play areas.
They love that.
Absolutely. The pavilion where parents and grandparents and family members can sit under the shade, have something to eat while they watch their kids play. So it's really going to be an expansion of our waterfront park system, but at the same time, a place where kids can really go and just have a lot of fun in our downtown area, which, quite frankly, doesn't exist right now. So we're real excited about the future of the pier.
Yeah, interesting. How long do you think that project would take? What's the estimation?
Right now, the estimation is, if everything goes according to schedule, that the pier would begin opening in December of 2018. And 2018 is going to be a big year in St. Petersburg because we anticipate the pier opening by the end of that year. We will have a new police station, 165,000 square feet, that will be opening in 2018. You will have 2 new museums in downtown St. Petersburg, in a city that already has world-class museums. Tom James Wildlife and Southwestern Art Museum will open right in the heart of downtown. And the American Arts and Crafts Museum, which will be roughly 110,000 square feet.
Wow.
Which is just gigantic. Will also be opening in downtown in 2018. So the arts and culture scene that's already alive will be exploding in that year.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of good things happening. So 2018.
2018 is going to be a big year.
That's awesome. So kind of switching gears, talking about, we talk about Tampa International Airport. You also have, an airport down in Pinellas County. And there's been some write-ups in the paper about Allegiant Airlines and some of the things happening there. What have you learned in your investigations on that?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of information on Allegiant. I kind of, my knowledge base has been only what I've been able to see from the papers. St. Pete Clearwater Airport is a Pinellas County government controlled airport. But obviously it's, a lot of our folks, a lot of our residents fly out of there. I've flown Allegiant previously myself. That they're attractive to a lot of people because they go to a lot of places that some of the other carriers don't travel to.
Right.
And their price point is extremely competitive.
Yep.
But obviously, if people don't have comfort and they're not confident in the airlines itself, it could be problematic for Allegiant. So, I suspect that that's an airline that's really going to be taking a hard look at how they do business and trying to make sure they give people a better confidence level.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you see that stories like that, it kind of makes you wonder. And we've talked about other stories too with different airlines. I forgot the specifics of those, but yeah, it's when they're taking 100 plus people on a plane, and they're we'll leave that there. But so jobs, I think is one of the other areas we talked a little bit about earlier. But what can we see in the future for jobs coming out of St. Petersburg? Yeah,
we're really excited about what's happening there. And you were mentioning California before and some of the advantages we have. And I won't mention the company, but we met with a group of businesses, which I do a lot, and we hold a breakfast, or I go out on what we call our small business tour. But on this particular morning, we were having a breakfast with businesses and spoke with one business owner who was contemplating living or opening his business in either California, out in the Silicon Valley area, in Boston, or in St. Pete, and they settled on St. Pete.
Nice.
And I think what they recognize is what we were talking about before, which is the quality of life. But we are targeting right now a number of different clusters: life sciences, marine sciences, the financial industry, obviously data analytics and technology, and then arts and culture, which is a job creator in and of itself.
Yep.
And so those are some areas that we are really going after. We now in St. Pete have in a great partnership, and I thank Chris Steinacher and the St. Pete Chamber for working so hard with us in getting a EDC, an Economic Development Corporation, started,
nice.
Which Hillsborough and Tampa has had for a long time, and it's really given them a competitive advantage.
Right.
And now we'll have it. So we'll have this group that is focused on going out and recruiting businesses and then making sure we retain the ones that we have. And equally important, if that business we're trying to recruit, for whatever reason, decides that it's not the right fit in St. Pete, then what our folks are going to do is try and turn them on to Tampa.
Yeah.
And likewise, we know that the folks in Tampa are going to do the same thing with us in St. Pete. So, the opportunity for job creation and what we're seeing happening in the market right now on both sides of the bay is really exciting. I know Mayor Buckhorn he and I talk about this all the time. We are really juiced about the number of people that are moving into our area, that are starting businesses, building their business, or relocating their businesses to the Tampa Bay region.
I think one of his quotes from last time he was on the show, he says, this town is on fire, to quote Alicia Keys.
Absolutely.
This town is on fire. So Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater. And those economic development, those are going to support the entrepreneurs. They're going to support the startups and those folks that are looking to make a change of scenery or just start up here.
Absolutely. And another thing that we've been working on in St. Pete, and we're fortunate that we have the anchor institutions to do this, is the creation of an innovation district. We took a group of about 50 of us with the chamber, traveled to the Raleigh-Durham area to look at the Research Triangle, see how they're doing things. We recognize we have that same opportunity in the St. Petersburg area with USF St. Pete, having the only location in North America outside of the Baltimore, D.C. Community of Johns Hopkins, to have them in St. Petersburg, and now under construction, a research center that they are building. Gives us a real opportunity to be the focus for companies that want to get involved in marine and life sciences, and to do it right there in the Innovation District.
Yeah, that's awesome. And one of the last studies too, the Milken Institute ranked number 33, Tampa Bay, moving up every year. So.
And it was a huge jump.
Yeah.
That we all took in the Tampa Bay region, and it's really it's a testament, I think, to the leadership in all of the local governments in Tampa Bay, where we are all focused and are all working collaboratively to promote our region. Mayor Buckhorn and I have gone out on trade missions. We've been to Chile. We've been to Toronto. We'll continue to go anywhere we have to go to bring business back to this community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think last time you were on the show, I think we talked about one of your nonprofits and charitable organizations. Is it Southeast Guide Dogs?
It is,
right?
Yeah. That is, Southeast Guide Dogs is a real passion of mine. They do amazing work. One of the best nonprofits I've ever seen. Training these incredible animals, these guide dogs, for the visually impaired, but also in their Pause for Patriots program, working with our veterans who are in need of assistance, whether it's from suffering from PTSD or if they've sustained some other injury that is in some ways incapacitated them, to be able to provide an animal at no cost.
Yeah, that's huge.
Is huge, and it really it's life changing, and I've seen it in the work that they do with these folks.
That's awesome. Well, hey, that does it for our show here today. I want to thank Mayor Rick Kriseman for coming in, Ben as well, Ben Kirby, helping out arrange it, and thanks so much for all you do and all your collaboration. We really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I thank you for everything that you do to keep the community engaged, updated, and informed, because that makes a difference.
Hey, my pleasure. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness, bagging up some leftover food, giving it to that homeless person that you might see from your commute on to work. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. All right.